a lot of the stuff we talked about was how what's happened in the last 11 months with the pandemic has really changed the way that we've all thought about how we engage with sports events and our consumers and the experience that they have. And I know certainly for us at Verizon Media, we've had to pivot. We've had to come out with new technology to allow watching live events, or at least events together in a way that's very different that we've had. We were on the track and continuing on the track of enabling the stadiums with 5G, because we had been thinking not only about the in-stadium experience but that virtual experience. That all got accelerated, and I know that in our conversations, you guys really had to pivot in the last 11 months around how you thought about leveraging a really important pillar for you, which is sports and live events. And I wanted to get a little bit, in terms of the first part of this discussion, is really what did you guys have to do? How did you pivot in those initial days? It's almost a year ago. It's pretty
I,
amazing that we've been this long in here.
it's crazy. It's crazy that it's almost a year ago. Again, thanks for having me. It's really obviously a great topic. We've had to move really quickly. And I would say, how did we pivot? The most important thing was really deciding what our message was going to be, how we were going to think about our sponsorships. Were obviously, like all of us, normally you're there at the event. For the NFL draft was really the first event that came when we went into lockdown, and normally we're there, we're activating on site, we're bringing our clients, we're showing our innovation to consumers. So instead we shifted that and really quickly put together a focus on what it is that we wanted to support, which was recovery, community recovery, and supporting small businesses. So we put together a recovery plan. It really came from the top. Our CEO saying, think about how we're going to help to bring the economy back and to bring communities back. So
Yeah.
we put together a plan, and it was basically focused on how you shop matters and where you shop matters. And so what we did with the draft was actually have three of our NFL partner athletes pick a small business in their community that they wanted to support. And we had them film basically, pretty much on their own. I mean, we leveraged an online digital platform for making the videos, but they had to do their set design. They had to pick out their wardrobe. We were shipping them the lighting, and really asked them to just be authentic and talk about the business that they wanted to support. And it's something that we were able to film in a matter of 5 days, I think. So
Which
the
is incredible,
speed at
right?
which you have to move, I think that was really that made a big difference.
And we heard in the last session from Greg, I think, and I'd love to have you talk a little bit about it as well, where you had to transition from those athlete partners presenting the message of the brand to actually, working against their own causes. And that's a big shift. And it's hard sometimes for advertisers to kind of let go. And I'd love to have you talk just a little bit about how you've done that and how you've continued to work with them in those areas of focus.
Yeah, I think actually it's been, if there's anything positive coming out of this, it's really moving more to purpose, and now it's more important than ever. And we were clear about our purpose, which is, as a brand, to be the trusted engine of commerce, to uplifting everyone everywhere, including communities, individuals, businesses. And these athletes have become activists on their own, and they were all very passionate about it. Saquon Barkley, who was in our NFL ad, two of his siblings have their own small businesses, so he supported one as part of that ad. So I think, again, the point is that it comes across as very authentic, and it's something that I think will continue.
How's the reaction been for your consumers? Have they embraced the way that you guys have come to market with the community aspect and the way that you guys are
Absolutely.
athletes?
Yeah, I mean, I think from a measurement standpoint, what we did was really kind of shift our brand measurement to this, around relevance. Are we being relevant in what's going on right now, in the country? And the message has been, yes, we see you helping communities to thrive, and that's really what we focused on. So the reaction, has been great, and the reaction from our athletes who've been, really terrific partners.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about a little bit was just the fact that everyone's had to innovate, and I know back at CES, our CEO Hans Vestberg had talked about the fact that the last year has seen 5 to 7 years of innovation, and I know you guys have had a really strong history for innovation, and it forced you to not just accelerate. And I thought this was really interesting. You guys were already thinking about innovation and acceleration. What it forced you to do was to think differently about how you partner with whether it's small businesses or the NFL to drive them to adopt innovation faster. And maybe we can spend just a couple minutes talking about that, because I thought that was really interesting how you guys incorporated that and continued to maintain that community messaging and impact.
Sure. I mean, I think there's two things that are really important right now for consumers, which are, and for all of our partners, the NFL as an example. It's basically, fan safety. So right now, that's the key message. So we had already been working with the NFL on moving towards tap to pay, or touchless experiences. And now more than ever, consumers don't want to have to hand their card over or sign. So it was interesting, in a recent conversation with the NFL, they said, well, we had this sort of in our 5-year roadmap with you. So thank you, Visa, that you kept pushing us on it, because actually on Sunday, this will be the first cash-free Super Bowl, where it will be just tap to pay with your card. You don't
Right.
have to hand your card over. You don't have to insert or sign, and there's no cash transactions involved. So that really accelerated that process to getting to a cash-free Super Bowl. We also set up reverse ATM, so that anyone who didn't have a card and had cash can actually put their cash in and get a prepaid Visa debit card. So that was one piece. The other was with small businesses, that they really needed to pivot to be able to react and keep their business going when they couldn't be open. So it's the opportunity to accelerate their digital enablement, both from the standpoint of making sure that they are set up to accept these tap transactions, that they have the right equipment, that they're set up with the most advanced point of sale,
Right.
and as well as just point of sale signage to say that we accept touch free payments. So that we actually even sent out street teams to actually go into communities to help to accelerate that. And then we created a whole a really tutorial on for small businesses to get them to go digital. And in fact, this Sunday on Super Bowl, we partnered with our internal product team, and we have a platform called authorize.net, which is really to allow small businesses to set up their digital business, where on that day they can set up with no transaction fees for up to 100,000, no 100,000 transactions, and no initial fees. So we're really looking to help small businesses to accelerate their digital enablement. In fact, we set a goal to have 50 million small businesses go digital over the next 3 years. So that's a big focus on that. The other thing, just again on the tap to pay, the U.S. is very behind the rest of the
I was
world,
going to say, yeah.
and that's created the acceleration. So 65% of consumers say they want to have touch-free transactions. So that acceleration is necessary for consumers to feel safe. So I think we're really at the hockey stick finally, within the US.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to touch a little more on the community piece, because I think it's really interesting to understand how brands like Visa have tried to shift. So if you think about it from a payments perspective, that's the core business. But how do you have that impact on the community? And it's not only about the athletes and causes for the athletes, but you guys have been really focused on supporting small business. And maybe we can talk for a minute about how these programs have actually shifted over this last year to help with that support of those communities, but not only small businesses, but specific ethnicities, whether that's women or Black owners. And there's a lot of work that you guys have been doing there. And I think that's really interesting to see how you've positioned that and positioned the brand against that, and then continue to leverage that as part of, as you said, with the Super Bowl and enabling tap transactions for a lot of small businesses. But I think it'd be great for everyone to hear about what you're doing there.
Yeah, so one of the things that we did, and specifically again around the NFL, so not only do we sponsor the NFL, but we also sponsor teams. So we actually shifted a lot of the money that we would normally use to support those teams and activation with those teams. We use those activation dollars to actually give back directly
Yeah.
to Black-owned small businesses, and that was really, as you know, on top of our overall, you know, national advertising around supporting small businesses in general, which really made the small businesses and the consumers that support them the heroes of that, rather than it being about Visa. So we partnered with the Giants and the Jets and the 49ers, where we leveraged those funds to give to small businesses, Black-owned small businesses within their communities, $10,000 each to help with their business. So that was where we were really going to, you know, the community level. We're also doing things with Black-owned businesses, even within our other sponsorships. So New York Fashion Week is next week. We're actually spotlighting female Black entrepreneurs who have started businesses based on the fact that, and these are kind of behind the scenes, not even the designers, which we featured last year, where they are, you know, creating new beauty lines to actually support the to support Black women and women of color who do not have enough choices. So we're really taking that whole experience of what had been an event that you go to for New York Fashion Week, and creating this, you know, digital opportunity that actually brings it to a broader audience. So having a panel with these Black owned businesses, we actually have a e-commerce site where you can buy a box of products that we put together from these business owners. And then we'll be streaming things like makeup tutorials and how to do manicure tutorials. So it actually opens it up to a much broader audience.
Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit the other day, and you talked about even from the sport venue perspective, how you're doing stuff with World Cup, Megan Rapinoe, and some of the other athletes, sponsors that you guys support, and I think that's probably one of the big things that we've seen over this last year, is that being virtual has forced us all to think about ways to expand that viewership, right, and that experience and that engagement. And I know you guys are doing some really interesting things coming up around bringing that to a much broader audience than you may have been able to.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a good example is the women's national team, and we are the presenting sponsor of this She Believes Cup. In fact, that was the last event that I went to right before, literally the day before the lockdown last year, and it was a great event to experience in person. So we wanted to take that and again open it up to more people. So we actually are creating a live stream experience with our very own Visa athlete Megan Rapinoe, where she'll take you on a tour of the stadium, and also have exclusive, you know, a sideline warm up cam, which you normally don't get to see.
Yeah, which is great. What do you think was the biggest surprise for you over this last year in terms of how you guys, I'll say, rose to the occasion, given everything that went on? What was one of those things you'll look back on and say, "Well, that was just, I'm so excited that we were able to do that in this last year."
You know, I think the speed to which we were able to shift. You know, I talked about the NFL draft and creating that spot with the athletes from their homes. I mean, it was really, you know, just raw, but made it more authentic, that we turned that around in a matter of days. You know, where typically you think about production of a TV spot,
Yeah.
and all of the people that come together to make that happen. So I think it was the speed. The other thing that we had to really shift was the Toronto International Film Festival. We've been a sponsor of that for many years. Normally, there's 600,000 people who converge on Toronto. It's the biggest film festival in the world. So we had to think really quickly about how to pivot. There wasn't going to be There was only going to be a few select small actual film screenings in
Yeah.
person. We normally have a Visa theater, so we created the ability to actually stream these films to our customers, and also set up a Visa drive-in theater.
Yeah.
And again, pulled in the small businesses from the community by creating these little, gift bags, sort of cooler bags with snacks and different products from small businesses in Toronto. So it combines the, ability for us to, again, what I'm proud of, we moved really quickly. I think we created great both live stream and, where we could, safe in-person experiences while spotlighting the local small businesses.
Yeah. So as you kind of think forward, and I know this is probably going to be a common question for a lot of the panelists today, which is, what do you think will stick? One of the examples we talked about, non-sports related, is the fact that a lot of companies now realize that you can work from home and still be productive and still
Right.
drive your business, which, I think will be a lasting thing. We won't see as many offices. We probably won't see as many people commuting. What are the things, when you think about your partnerships with the athletes and your partnerships with organizations like the NFL and others, what do you think sticks going forward based on what's happened over the last almost year?
Well, I think the change in, media mix and consumption will continue. You saw this shift to live streaming. We started testing into things, even, sound. We're using more, sonic sounds and haptics.
Yeah.
We tested into a lot into podcasts and music, and that shift from just traditional, TV and some digital. I think we'll continue to see a greater shift in that direction, because consumers habits have changed, and I think
Yeah.
will continue to remain that way. The other is this shift to digital for businesses.
Yeah.
I think the safety aspect is going to continue. We're not going to get out of COVID that quickly. So the need for changing the way you engage with consumers. So, as an example, we're doing at the Super Bowl, where there will be some fans, is you can actually purchase your, jersey or t-shirt or whatever it is that you want to buy, and then schedule time to go to these, sort of trailers, Visa trailers that we set up to sell, NFL goods. I think being able to order from your seat, and have it delivered to you, and really just have as little interaction as possible, but it creates much more convenience and just,
Yeah.
speed to get consumers sort of back to the game. So I think and I think that shifts also to small businesses, as they see that they can actually drive, greater, business with the digital side of their business. I think that will stick as well.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Um, I guess I have to ask the obligatory question for you, which is, when you think about this weekend, is it going to be the Chiefs or is it going to be the Buccaneers?
You know, my extended family would kill me for this, because I have a lot of huge Tom Brady fans. Family that lived in Foxborough, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think it's time for, you know I think it's time for a new quarterback to start to create that winning streak, and I so I'm going to go for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think the general consensus might be that as well. Although the Buccaneers defense was looking pretty strong against Green Bay, so if that shows up, it could be really interesting.
It should
Uh,
be a great game. Plus,
yeah,
it's in Tampa Bay. The first time that there is the actual the home team is in
home
there.
team. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you guys gonna have 22,000 fans there, which is also pretty amazing to experience the things that you've been doing. Um, the last question I'll have for you is, as you look forward for innovation at Visa, when you guys think about it, what do you think the next area of innovation is going to be, especially as it relates to the fan experience?
I think it's going to be this combination of live and digital experiences. Um, I think that is what Verizon's doing with 5G and being able to be on your phone at the same time as you're watching the game live. I think there's a lot of opportunities um, for there to be just greater fan interaction,
Yeah,
whether you're at the stadium or you're sitting at home. I think there'll be opportunities to actually purchase, from your TV or your device. So I think the seamlessness of the consumer experience and the greater engagement of the consumer experience is really where we're going.
yeah. No, I think it's going to be amazing to kind of see the change there. Um, what's your one piece of advice for success for your marketing colleagues as we think about the future?
I would say be true to your purpose, be true to your brand. I mean, it's sort of an obvious thing, but when I do think about the way that we pivoted, it took us away from not that aren't always consumer or customer led in the way that we think about our advertising, but it took us from here's what we have for you to here's how we as a brand can actually help at a time when it's most critical, that we are here to actually uplift everyone everywhere. I think the message of inclusion and diversity and really supporting those that need it most, with the example of Black owned businesses. Now, all businesses need help, but we are seeing that Black owned businesses are even more affected by the pandemic. So think about think about the audiences that you can support, because if we all all then the water level rises for everyone. So I think it's really just staying true to that and staying that course. This isn't a short-term thing. I think this will be 3 years out.
Yeah. I did want to, we've gotten a couple of questions in the chat window, and I did want to, I think it's a great one because it's about how people can engage. But there's a question about how can all of us participate in the work that you guys are doing for the community piece, whether that's through the athletes or through the small businesses. What's the best way for folks on the phone to engage?
Well, I think first of all, support your small businesses in your community. That's number one. And also look at what athletes are doing. It's amazing that the way that athletes have become activists and really, as I talked about, have had to shift from really being the storytellers. They are the ones that are actually um, telling the story in a way that is supporting this cause
Yeah,
of small businesses. So that I think is the most important thing.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time today. I think we're up at 12:10. I don't know if there's any other questions that are coming through on the board, but it's been really great hearing about the strategy that Visa has employed over the last year to change. And we look forward to the exciting things that you guys are going to do as we go forward. Um, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Hey, David, I think you're muted, but
You are correct. I was muted. It's always, I got to remind myself every single time. But Marianne, thank you so much. John, thank you so much. That was fantastic. I want to end with just one question about the game. Do you have any, I mean, it's so weird. Usually we think of the Super Bowl as just such a a group communal experience, right? Like, you have friends over and you make fun foods. Are you guys doing anything to try to, bring some of that magic virtually? And I mean, you don't have to have an answer. I'm just curious because we're trying to figure that out over here, right? Like, how do you make the most out of the Super Bowl and have that kind of fun with your friends, but
Yeah.
the pandemic?
Virtually, I mean, it's just going to be very small here watching the game. I did join a pool. It's in support of my daughter's high school lacrosse team, so that it's giving to a cause, but it's also a way to make it a little bit more fun. That we'll be watching the
I
score
love
and see
that.
if we win in everything and anything in every quarter. So I think that makes it fun, and just ordering great food in from our local restaurants.
There you go. I love it. John, how about you? Any advice? Anything fun planned?
Yeah, so we're going to probably take advantage of local providers and get some stuff in from our local restaurants. But to put a shameless plug in there, go out there and get the Yahoo Sports app. You guys can watch together. It's amazing tech. It absolutely provides pure syncing, so everyone sees everything at the same time. And it's a great way in this current environment where if you can't be together, you